We're speaking with Glen Duncan, who has been involved with designing a new flag for the state of Louisiana. Glen, tell us, how did this project get started?
A friend and I just volunteered. We knew that there was a new law that required the Secretary of State to add 3 drops of blood to the flag. And a few years had gone by and I noticed it had not been done. So I'd been in advertising and marketing and branding, and as had my colleagues, so we just called the Secretary of State's office and asked if he perhaps needed some help creating the physical files necessary to distribute the flag, and that started it.
And how did it evolve from there?
Well, it was we learned very quickly that there was a lot more to this than just creating digital files to allow him to disseminate the flag. There was no single official flag in Louisiana at that time. So the Secretary of State couldn't just pick one, add 3 drops of blood, and call it done. We realized we'd have to design a flag from scratch.
And how did that process go?
Well, we regarded it as the brand of our state. So you don't just mess with a brand without doing a lot of work. So we looked at all of the legal and cultural and traditional research we could find on our flag and its history, as well as the state seal, because that came before the flag, and that also indicated a little bit to us. So we looked at flag after flag, note after note, law after law that was out there, and compiled this into a report and a recommendation to the Secretary of State, along with an image that we thought would suit all of those needs.
And then what happened after that?
Well, he liked what he saw. Of course, he had a few recommendations and we tweaked the process, but eventually he accepted a brand new flag and a brand new seal and declared that to be the new official seal and flag of the state of Louisiana.
What did you learn through this process?
What I learned is people don't take good notes when it comes to their state flags. There is no good document you can go to determine why we even have a pelican on our state flag. You can surmise because that has a long tradition. It's a pelican that's wounding itself to care for its young, and the tradition is this is the image of the state of Louisiana caring for its citizens. But that's just a conclusion you have to draw secondhand. There's no specific document that says why that flag even exists. So what we've done is we've created a new history that actually notes why we made some of these decisions, and that's now available too.
Now, how did you design the new flag as far as the artwork goes?
Well, I could take you around Baton Rouge right now. We can take photographs of several flags that are in existence. None of them really look like a pelican. So the first thing we wanted to do is make a more realistic image of a pelican. We needed to add 3 drops of blood because that's what the new state law required, and we wanted to do that appropriately. And we also wanted to make sure that it continued to have many of the characteristics that we've always had. The pelican's head turned to one side, 3 chicks in the nest. Of course, the motto by law has to be on the flag. And that's how we arrived at it.
Now, as far as obtaining the state flag, if people would like to purchase the new Louisiana State Flag, how would they do that?
Well, theoretically, they can call any state flag manufacturer, and there are a variety, and ask for the new state flag. The artwork is now available through the Secretary of State of Louisiana in digital form, so any manufacturer ought to get the artwork and be able to reproduce the flag exactly, which also has not been possible until now.
Now, you also published a small booklet that outlines the history. Tell us about that.
Well, that goes all the way back to our very first governor, Governor Claiborne, who chose a pelican as our image. And we looked at images during the last 200 years, all of the notes we could find, all of the writing we could find about the flag, and we compiled it in one new book, The History of Our Modern Flag. But we've also included something a little different. The way we made decisions on how to create the new flag. We have some input from the Secretary of State in the book. Even the artist talks a little bit about his notion of the flag. So it's really not just a history of the flag, but a discussion on how we arrived at the new flag.
What's your feeling as you take a look at the book and see it all in print?
Thank goodness it's done. It was a huge project, much larger than we knew when we volunteered. And I'm just proud that my colleague Curtis Van and I and our families have had a little bit to do with our state history.
Is the book available for the public?
It's available through libraries. We have a very limited number of them, so we're working right now to distribute them through the state library system and the university library system. So, in fact, the state archives has it as well. So if you called either the state library or the state archives, you'd be able to go see this.
What would you like people to keep in mind about Louisiana's new flag and Louisiana's flag history?
Well, we think the pelican is a very noble and regal bird, and this notion of it sort of sacrificing itself to care for its young. Whether you believe the state of Louisiana is self-sacrificial or not, the notion that there is a caring attitude for the citizens of Louisiana is a very powerful one. And I enjoy that. And I love the colors, that white pelican against a blue flag. We actually have probably, in my opinion, the most striking state flag that there is.
If people have questions or would like more information, what should they do?
Well, they can certainly get in touch with the state archives because they now have been through this process as well. So if they want to learn more about our flag and our flag history, that's a great place to start. And again, the state library also will have a copy of this book, and pretty soon it'll be distributed to other libraries. So the best thing to do right now is state library or state archives.
Glenn, we understand that an important part of the story was an 8th grade student from Louisiana. Tell us about that.
Well, flags typically come from the citizenry. You know, a citizen draws a flag, it becomes very popular, it's adopted as a state flag. That may have happened to us way back 200 years ago. But the important thing is a citizen, a young 8th grader, David Joseph Louvier, approached the legislator and got a law change that said there'll be 3 drops of blood on the flag. So my partner Curtis Van and I thought the solution should come from the citizenry as well. And so that's why we volunteered to do this. So our state flag is an effort of the citizens, not of a government or a government official. Let me show you some of the big features that we really had to work with. First of all, the question is this a white pelican or a brown pelican? The law says it's a pelican in white. But since the state bird is a brown pelican, we chose, of course, a brown pelican, but depicted in white. One question, of course, is which way does the head turn? The law says the pelican's head should be turned to the left, but it doesn't say whether that's the pelican's left or the viewer's left. But if you look at flags through history, the predominant image is to the viewer's right, so we chose that. 3 chicks has been consistent through many, many years, although the number of chicks has changed. The newest feature, of course, are the 3 drops of blood. We chose to make that the center of the flag and the center of the entire image because of the importance of it. It's self-sacrificing to feed its young, but it had to be anatomically correct as well. It had to be within an area that the pelican's bill could reach and that sort of thing. And of course, this is probably the most realistic image of a pelican that we've had. And the other large feature is the motto. The motto has actually changed through time. And you can see it even now depicted a variety of ways. Sometimes there's a comma, sometimes there's a conjunction, meaning union, justice, and confidence. Sometimes it's without. But the predominant thing that you find in history is our state motto is stated as 3 words, union, justice, confidence, so we chose to depict it that way without any punctuation or without any conjunctions. I love this flag. It's a bright white bird, a very regal bird against a noble blue background, and it just evokes a lot of emotion and strength. And I personally think we have the most striking state flag there is.